Hello everyone. This is Shubham Bhatt from UXSprout, and I welcome you all to this first episode of Design Talks with Design Talks Facebook Live podcast. And this is this new series that we are starting up. So, in this first episode, we will be talking about minimalism and design. And our first guest is Sankalp Sinha, who is working remotely as a senior product designer at Seller Crowd and Kahoot. So, he'll be joining us. And after that, we'll have a casual chit chat and this thing, minimalism and design, how they are correlated, and we'll talk about that. So, with that said, I welcome Sankalp Sinha. So, hello Sankalp, can you please join it? Yeah, thank you very much, Yatharth, Mridul. Yeah, I think so. This is our first Facebook Live, so some technical issues might occur. So, pardon us for that. Yeah, I think I got, yeah, Sankalp. Adding Sankalp right now. Yeah, it's getting connected.
Hey Shubham. Yeah,
Hey, hey Sankalp, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? So I think you spelled my name, which is actually my ID everywhere, which is Hello Sankalp Sinha in general. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, Sankalp.
yeah, yeah.
Bit with the
Okay.
discussion further.
Hi. Yeah. Hello, seven people plus one more, easy. So, so my name is Sankalp. I basically belong to Patna, but I've studied automotive engineering from Sharda, from Delhi NCR. It's located there. And then I came in the industry, design industry, just after finishing my college. And it's been about 5 years. I worked with corporates here and there in India, but finally moved to working remotely starting last year, January. Yeah. So that's where I'm at today. And I've also
Okay.
moved to Bangalore last year itself. I was in Pune before this. So yeah.
Okay. It's interesting, right? So let's start with the agenda of this
Yeah.
discussion. So, what is your idea and definition of minimalism? Because I think, like in the people in my periphery, most of the people they don't
Yeah.
get it yet. So they confuse it with frugality and all of that. So it
Yeah.
is not as famous as that it should be. But like I would like to know what is your idea and definition of minimalism.
So first, let's clarify what are we talking about? Are we going to talk about minimalism in design or minimalism as a philosophy in general?
Yeah, so like minimalism as a particular
Minimalism as
subject
a
and
philosophy.
as
Yeah,
per philosophy, and then how it is correlated
yeah,
to in design and
yeah,
how it is relatable in design.
yeah. So I think minimalism, it started hitting me. Basically, I have been seeing this, and we all have seen this being Indians, that our parents, since I come from a middle class family, and since most of my friends were from middle class family, everybody has seen their parents hoarding stuff through and through, and the maintenance of these objects, the lifestyle that it creates, has a big impact on how we live our lives. So mostly you will see, for example, if you have bought a couple of furniture which you're not even using, but you do need to maintain these, so that creates a lot of stress, anxiety. You spend a lot of time, money, and energy in maintaining these. So that's when it hit me, and then through the internet, I came across this philosophy of minimalism through Joshua Baker, and
Okay.
there's one more guy whose name I forgot. So these guys started talking about millennials, and they mostly are from the US, and they
Mm-hmm.
packed all their stuff and sold everything, packed their stuff and start moving around. And one of the story that really appealed me from Joshua Baker was he had a ton of stuff in his house, and one day while he was working in his garage, sorting his stuff out, which he was never using, he saw his kid playing in the backyard, and that's when it hit him that dude, I'm literally spending time maintaining stuff, spending time and energy in stuff which I'm not even using, and I'm missing this golden time where my kid is growing, playing. This is something I'll never get back. And
Yeah.
in the US, it's very different because kids at the age of 18 they get thrown out of the houses. That you have
Mm.
lived enough with our money. Now you have to go out and figure out what you want to do. That's how the culture is in the US. It's not in like in India that 25 saal ho gaye and the kid's still sitting in their parents'
Mm.
house. So I think that also creates that's also hit him that he has very limited time with his kid, and that's how he started this blog called Becoming Minimalist. He got rid of a lot of things within his house, and he didn't sell his house though. So he has been writing about, and there are other as well. Joshua Baker is there. There's forgot these names. There's one site called the minimalism.com, and there's called Becoming Minimalist. There's one more, Leo Babuata. That guy has like 8 kids, which goes against the definition of minimalism if someone understands it very on a surface level. So they would say that how can this guy be a minimalist? He has 8 kids. So
Yeah.
minimalism is not exactly about how many kids you have. It's so yeah, giving it the context now. So what is minimalism? Minimalism is what I so for different people minimalism can be different, but what I've understood so far is minimalism is basically getting rid of stuff that you are not using and is taking a lot of time and effort in your life. So getting rid of everything that is not really required or you really use it very once in a while. So
Okay.
this is the standing philosophy of minimalism, and
Okay.
that can be
So it is
applied to your life, to your work, to everything you do.
so it is basically like living with bare essentials and not less, like less is more, as they say it, right?
Yeah, less is more. Bare essential is again subjective. So, for example, I might want 2 chairs in my workspace. Like, I
Mm.
would want to move around a lot. So, for someone else, that might not be a definition of minimalism.
Mm.
And there's one interesting comment. Accent rhythm जैसे लग रहा है. Okay, I'll take it as a compliment. Anyway, so yeah, so minimalism for me is not minimalism for someone else, but it at the end it comes down to the person who actually wants to apply minimalism in their life. They have to ask themselves honestly that what they really want to do with their stuff, which is really required, which is not. And plus then a couple of stuff which are very emotional to few people. Like for example, I still have
Yeah.
my sweater which my mom gave me like 10 years back. I still keep it. I don't wear it. It outsizes me, but I still keep it. So for example, someone can point it out that Sankalp, you are a minimal, but you're still keeping a sweater which you're not wearing at all. So yeah, at the end of the day, it is bare essentials, but subjective.
Yeah, it is like very subjective. Okay, got it. So, like
Yeah,
coming to the design part of it, like
yeah.
how minimalism has helped you in like becoming a better designer. Like there must be some correlation between these two, right? Minimalism and design, right?
There is two things. One, you can literally bring minimalism to your designs, as in your work, the outcome that you produce. And the second is you can bring minimalism to your life, which in turn gives you more space to create good stuff or to improve your productivity, creativity. So I'll just take you through a couple of these 2 points. So the first is minimalism is like saying get rid of everything. So if you look at the template, for example, just take an example of a landing page template. If you go to a landing page and search for a dribble, just search for inspiration on dribble about landing page, you'll see a ton of stuff, and people will take these for granted. Like it looks fancy. This has, even it might see as one headline, one title, one city, and there is one video.
Mm-hmm.
But when you try to apply minimalism in your designs, it's like, what am I really doing here? What do I want the user to see actually? And does the header actually make sense? Does the video actually make sense? It's not about following a template. Just like I explained, applying minimalism in your life is not about what your neighbor has in stuff.
Exactly.
You have to ask, what do I really want? So applying minimalism in your work is about uh, getting rid of stuff which you think won't work for the user. So that's one
Mm.
aspect of applying minimalism to your work. And second is, when you apply minimalism to your life, you become more aware of the things that you do. You become more stress free. You become more mindful of the things you do. And I think working, for example, I I have been, for example, I've been meditating. I've been following minimalism since like 4 or 5 years now, and I
Mm-hmm.
worked in corporate jobs, in day jobs where I had to go to office, and it had very less impact in terms of how my productivity increases. But being remote, working from home, definitely go applying minimalism around you, and for example, practice again meditation helps you a lot, being productive, being channelized on what you want day-to-day basis. So
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Got it. Yeah. So the next question is like how to achieve minimalism in design, because there is so much of noise that can easily distract you from designing the thing with like bare essential, if that is making sense or not, right?
Yep.
Let's suppose you can make things that will add delight to the users, but not very necessary. But then
Yeah,
that can
true.
add noise to that.
Yeah, true.
So
So
how to
this
like be focused in that approach?
So this is something I have had questions around, asking experts who I've met through events on motion design and whatnot. So I am a little not in favor, I won't say against, but not in favor of adding motion design and whatnot in the name of or in an excuse of adding the light.
Mm.
More often than not, if you look at, for example, Amazon doesn't have Amazon.com doesn't have animations. You just go there. The experience is so beautifully done. You go, you look at your products, you look at their catalog, you buy stuff, and then you go out. It's
I think he went off. Uh,
Did you get a call?
no,
Okay.
I think you went off. Yeah, we can start off.
Yeah. So
Am I audible?
yeah, you're audible. So what I was saying is, I
Yeah.
am little not in favor of adding the light when it's really not necessary. So I was taking an example of Amazon. You go there, you get the job done, so on and so forth. So you will see, and this is very healthy debate that I think which should go on among designers, that given the scope of product, given how many users it reaches, and most importantly, given the skills that every designer has in a team, we mostly
Mm-hmm.
are adding ton of stuff these days because we have resources, uh, we have time, we have money. I'm mostly talking about these VC funded companies. So yeah, so most often than not, I think adding extra elements in the name of adding delight, or in the name of making the product stand out or whatnot is not really needed, and there could be, or there are better examples of product dealing in the same industry or space which have proven that you can actually do ton of stuff by being very simple. You don't need to add ton of stuff just because you have resources, you have
Exactly.
money and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. So got that right. Now moving on to the next thing, like design and all of that. Like you're a self-taught designer,
Yeah,
right?
just like
So how you made
everybody else in
yourself
India
competent
these
in?
days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So how you made yourself competent in this design industry despite being an automotive engineer? Because it's kind of like I'm coming from a computer science background,
Yeah.
and I'm finding it a little difficult to get into the space. Yeah, that's why.
Okay. So we have one question. Just we'll take note of it. We'll come back to you, Mridul.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
what was the question? Yeah, how do I made myself competent in design? So one, I just like everybody else, all the designers that you will talk to, in general these days will say they had a knack for creating stuff, which I also had. But then I chose engineering, which in the first year itself I started getting tons of backlogs, and at the end of fourth year I had 20 backlogs, so I had no option. And in between I did couple of design projects here and there which got published here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me a boost and gave me an idea that this uh, industry is actually growing in India and can pay the bills. And I had no intentions of getting the degree, so I left the college, just finished 4 years, and then took a job in a startup, which was basically doing. Which was basically dealing in healthcare, just like Practo. So that's how it started, and as every designer would attest that since I think 2010 or 2011, design industry has been growing a lot in India, especially in Bangalore. So the only option
Hmm.
for, and I wanted to do a little bit of 3D design, but that didn't had really opportunities in India, and even though the salaries that you get would barely let you pay your bills. So yeah, so I chose to jump into digital design, started learning. A very typical story of any designer these days. But yeah, over time, if you work with good products, good product managers, good designers, if you have good team members, if you have gone through good process within a company, you will learn ton of stuff, and which will be helpful in improving your design thinking and product thinking. So just to
Yeah.
wrap up, just to give a summary of this big answer is just work with smart people or even good people who are trying to solve a problem in product and design, and you will have plenty of opportunity to learn from them, learn from the product that you're working with. But then again, stick to it. Don't just leave in the 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Got it. Yeah. So coming to the remote working and all
Yeah.
of that, because you are also working remotely for a company. So how difficult it is to like be with discipline and all of that, not getting distracted and not being a
Yeah,
loner,
yeah.
because it sucks.
Yeah, so I think
So
being remote and working from home requires very high level of self-discipline. You have to be a self-starter. But and I've seen a lot of people. So even my last company, when I told my friends that within the company that I'm leaving this job and going remote, they're like, I can't go remote. And I thought when I'll tell them, they'll be like, oh, I also want to get in this job. And when I told them it's remote, no, you have to work from home, and everything happens on a call or a chat. You basically meet your teammates once or twice a year. And they're like, no, I can't do that. I need people. So definitely, if you are someone or anyone who likes being around people day in day out and don't like being alone, working alone. So it's not for them. Remote job is not for them, and a lot of people have found workaround, as in you'll find freelancers working from cafes. So that's one way how people break out the monotony of working alone. So that's also something I do. So I go out once every week, just one every week, mostly on Wednesday, to work from some cafes in Bangalore. And good thing is Bangalore has decent weather, so you can actually go out and work from one of these cafes. So yeah, you have to be a self-starter. If you expect your manager to give you some job, fill the pipeline, pipeline for you. Remote job is not for you, because you would be expected to when the call happens, or when you have to come back with some stuff. People just leave you in remote jobs to do your own work. They in a typical corporate job where you have to go to office, your manager is not going to ping you every time, like what's the status of your work. So
Oh. So you're enjoying it basically.
yeah, definitely. So after going remote, even the next job that I switch, I'll basically look for a remote job, not going to a desk job anytime soon. I mean, there are very obvious benefits to this. I basically wake up like 8:30 in the morning. I don't need to shower right away. I don't need to change my clothes. It gives me enough time
Yeah.
to unfold myself into the day, go through my morning routines, whatever it is, and then start my day. And sometimes when I'm waking up late in the night, not for work by the way, mostly watching movies or playing games, I can easily wake up by 11 or 12 and then start the work. So, yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So I mean, moving on to your side projects, right? So
Yeah.
I got to know you about you from that Get Rooster
Yeah.
thing. So that Rooster
Yeah.
plugin. So for those who don't know, he has a Chrome extension. He has developed a Chrome
Not me,
extension which
my friend
tracks your
developed it, I
productivity.
designed it. So,
Yeah, design and
yeah.
develop. So from idea to
Yeah.
execution, they did it. So it's very good. So I made my three colleagues to install it on their
Yeah.
desktop. So yeah, it's very good. So you can go and check out it at
Yeah.
getrooster.in.
Product
So
placement,
can you tell
guys,
us about
get
your site itself?
rooster.in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
basically, as
So
I said, every designer in general has a knack of creating stuff, and I was always in the favor of just creating whatever I see a pain point at that point in time in my life. So I don't go out and create the stuff which will promise to make money, and if it's not my pro, I won't solve it. So there are different ways of choosing a problem that you want to solve. But for me, it's like I want to solve my own problem. There will be definitely different people who have the same problem. They'll opt your product in. So I mostly, so the idea was not mine actually. One of my friend, ex-colleague from Wingify, he didn't had work that day, and when I went to his desk, he was creating this Chrome extension. I'm like, what is this? And before that we had created a similar product, but for Windows. It was called MKA. The full form
okay,
was Makiak, because it's funny name, because
shit.
yeah, because when you sit in front of computer, I'm sure every mom in India is like screaming at their kids, and why you sitting so much? You will waste your eyes. You won't study. Blah blah blah. So basically, we created that product which will remind you for every whatever time you select to take a break, drink water, do some eye exercises, and that's why we kept the name Makiak. But we did it for Windows. We did just after graduating college, and it didn't go really far. But in Wingify, when I saw him, my friend, my colleague, creating this Chrome extension, I'm like, I wanna join you and give designs to this, work out for marketing, work out for product thinking and whatnot. So yeah, we collaborated and did this product. There are a couple of more side projects in pipeline which we are doing, but we are really slow. We don't consider that you have to be really fast, or you have to move really fast to get things done. If you, I mean, life for me, life is really long. instead of saying life is really short for me, I think if
Short, yeah.
I live even 70 years, I have plenty of things to do. So I'm not in a hurry. Yeah.
So you work very differently. That's what from the people, that the common sayings that life is short and all
Yeah.
of that. That's what I. Yeah, you work very differently. Yeah. So there's this one thing that bothers me as being a newbie in this design industry. So there are a lot of terms that can confuse a
Yeah.
newbie, like product design, interaction
Yeah.
design, visual
Yeah.
design, and all of that. I personally want to know, like, can you tell us, like, visual design is self-explanatory, but I get confused very much between product design and interaction design and those sort of things. So can you please clarify, like, because since your
Yeah.
profile says that you are a product
Yeah.
designer, so can you just help
So,
me
so
understand that fact?
basically, one thing I'll tell you straight off the bat is naming of these titles in India is little skewed. A lot of people write something as their profile or other title. Most of it's not their fault; it's the company's fault which come up with these titles, and they join these companies with X title, but they are literally doing Y. But to answer your question, product design is someone who literally has done all the little tasks that gets divided into different verticals. For visual designer, for example, a UX. So for example, UI designer would just do the UI of a product. He or she won't bother about what is the interaction of this, how's the user flow. They won't care about who's doing the A/B testing, how it's going to look out for the user. All their job is look out as in how it will convert for the users. All they care about, they have been given a spec. They just need to do a good UI for that, working UI and good UI. So that's UI designer. For example, designers, their job primarily is to look after user flows, how the product behaves, what the user wants to do. Is the product really doing that? Where are the drop offs? So that's their primary concern. A visual designer would do a mix of UI designer, and they would also take part in designing brochures and pamphlet or anything related to marketing. Again, visual designer might also be an illustrator. And so for example, in some companies you will see there's just the role called illustrator, or in some companies you will see it's called visual designers, but pretty much they do the same thing. But the overlap of our visual designer is also for a UI designer. An illustrator specifically won't do a UI job. And you asked about interaction design. So interaction designer, for example, if you're doing an app, what are the interaction points of this app? For example, we wanted to get on this live, and it sucked because we both couldn't find a way to find that CT. Like, how do I invite Shubham, or you like, how do I invite Sankalp? And when I'm looking at your live, I have to click a tiny button which doesn't have a label, and clicking that I don't know. So these are interaction points which an interaction designer uh, carefully considers, and then designs for these touch points, like what happens when I click this. So basically it's the design for feedback, like what you click or you touch, what is the interaction doing right then and there. So it's a very in the whole scheme of working of a product, their focus is only very limited to interaction level. They don't, again, they won't care
Okay.
about uh, uh, if the user really converted. So their job is only to take care of the interaction is being converted optimally, technically designed good. They won't care like if the user really passed the whole onboarding. No, their job is, so if the onboarding has 4 steps, they have to make sure that all the interaction points are working well, nicely, intuitively, adding delight. Uh, yeah. So, and what a product designer does is, product designer has to work on the UI sometimes, but mostly product designer, what they do is they take they fill the little shoes of UX designers, UI designers, sometimes interaction designers, sometimes PMs, sometimes project managers. But most of these companies who hire product designer, they mostly give them a feature and then they would like, yeah, design this feature. Some companies, these designer would be restricted to just designing screen, and some companies I know who will give them full autonomy of taking this feature from 0 to 1. Yeah. So in a nutshell, design just focus on of an app or a step on the product of steps of the product. The product designer does all of these that I mentioned: UI, UX, but in very uh, small time frames. Yeah.
Yeah, I think also product designer actively participate in user research and all of that, right? Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I said, 0 to 1. So for example, when I said in some companies, these product designer would be given full autonomy of taking an idea from 0 to 1, is they will be given an idea, and this product designer has to run that idea through wireframes, and they would take these to potential users, do some user testing, and with initial feedback, they would again go back to drawing board. They would do hi-fi mock-ups. They'll do then prototyping for these, then go back again, test them if they want to, then come back, interact with developers again. So for product design, it's also important that you have to know the technical restrictions, how the dev flow works, how an app is designed. So they also collaborate with the developers. They also collaborate with the PMs, project managers, and yeah. So their job is basically from doing everything that has to be done for a specific feature or a whole product. So for me, I'm doing everything for the product in
Yeah.
the company.
Okay, so you have worked for the companies in India as well as you are working for this Seller Crowd currently is a Portugal company,
No,
right?
it's a US based company. The Portugal was the team get together. We did the
Okay,
get
okay.
together in
I saw
Portugal.
your
Yeah,
Instagram
yeah,
post. Yeah. So you have worked like on both of the
yeah.
sides. So what is the difference between like working as a designer in India and working as a designer in US?
This is
Like, what is there any
if
difference?
this goes if this video gets a little bit of traffic, no, every designer would be coming after my life. Lo, you have worked with a US company now, so you so because what I'm about to tell you is from my experience, I think it's somewhat right also. The clear difference between working with a US company and Indian company is there's clarity of what you want to do. So I haven't
Okay.
seen a designer, a developer, or a PM or a QA guy running around and not know what to do. Everybody knows what to do. There is clear pipeline built. There's clear directions built given. There's clear requirements written beforehand. So there's very less scope of getting things wrong and then firefighting them. And this mostly happens because people in the West or mostly in the US and Europe are really well trained in their craft, even though if they are self taught. So, for example, you will see a lot of product designers, developers, or PMs, whatever, even if they complete 5 years, they would consider themselves as a big champ of their craft, which they are not. I am just 5 years into the industry. I barely know shit. I know what to do, but I don't know that much that I can lead a team of 5 designers and may become design head of 500 to 1000 employee company. I'm not there yet. And so the problem is you have to what I've realized is people in the West know who they are, what are their pros and cons given their skills, what are their limitations, where they want to work towards. And this gives very this lays out a good foundation for collaboration because they know their limitations. So they are very when they do mistakes, they are very sorry upfront. They're like, no, it's my fault. I'm gonna fix it right away. So that's what I have found, and the only reason the you may ask why is that the reason? So the reason is most of the PMs that you will see in India are self-taught. There's nothing to be wrong with being a self-taught product manager or leader, but the problem is uh, they are not trained as a people manager. They lack empathy, and what I realized working with the US companies, the empathy is in general really good. And if you are not empathetic with people you're working with, you can't get shit done, because to build a product, to build a feature, you need a team to make that
Exactly.
possible. And if you are not empathetic enough, you will, for example, make hard deadlines without considering your teammates, if they're working on weekends or not, is this a really important feature to be pushed right now. So all that judgment gets clouded when you're not really well trained in people management. So you will see a lot of product managers coming from MBA. Sure, they have MBA, they know, or they have prior experience of building products with good companies. Yes, they know how to build products, but to build product, knowing how to build is one thing, and working with people is a second thing. You have to be excellent in both of these.
Absolutely.
And this is what my experience was working with Indian companies. That managers are real shit here, and they don't care about who their team members were. I'm not saying it's very generalized. I'm not even saying this has been my experience working with all the companies, but this has been my observation with feedback coming from my friends. So everybody has friends working in IT people these days. They will come, and every evening they'll come and say, my boss is a real asshole. So the moment you hear that, you will understand
Yeah.
that they lack empathy. They don't care about who their reportees are, so on and so forth. So that's the only difference I'd say.
Yeah. Nice. So I got to know the
Yeah.
difference and all of that. Yeah. So you write a lot. You quite a lot. Your experiments and the mad scientist lab
I
and
don't
in
quite
your
write a
all
lot,
of that,
but
right?
yeah, I started this year. I started the
Yeah,
blog
because
long back, but and I didn't
like
follow it through. But this year I'm like, no,
maybe in 2015,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, right?
But now I'm like, I have to write every month. But I I wrote 2 blogs in
Yeah.
3 months, so missed one.
So I want to know, like, writing and designing is like, are they correlated? By how writing can help you become a better designer? Because for me, writing is about because when you write, you process the
Yeah,
thoughts,
exactly.
so it gives clarity. So is it the same
It's the
thing or
same
not?
thing.
Just
So
want to know.
writing has been for anyone who writes. It's mostly who writes. I'm not talking about novel writers or anyone. They write for a different purpose. But technical people like us, we mostly write to clear our own ideas in the head. And I mostly write to improve my English. To be honest, my written English is decent. I won't say excellent. So just writing, keeping writing. When I write a blog, it's in draft. I send it to my friends to proofread them, and they will point out some silly mistakes that I did, or they'll like, you have written this sentence in like 2 lines, which could be done in like 5 words. I'm like, oops. So yeah, mostly writing. So I only started writing because I want to document. I like to document a lot. So you will find from through my Instagram, I won't post for likes. I mostly like to whatever I like happening in my life at that point. I just want to record it over the internet through whatever medium possible. So it's something, an
Yeah.
experience. I might do a blog post, or I might do an Instagram story series, or just might post a photograph on Instagram. So there's a fine line between getting addicted to the Instagram, posting a lot of photos, and doing it for a reason. I would like to believe that I'm not addicted and doing it for a purpose, but my friends think
Yeah.
otherwise. So it's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, because you are very transparent on what you post, because if ever one will go through the all the
Yeah,
blog posts that you have written, you're very
yeah,
transparent on the things, the sticky notes and all of that. So I liked it
yeah,
very much, and that's the reason why I wanted to like chat
yeah,
with you in person and show the people around and document this somewhere. So it's like it's a very good thing that because not all of the people out there who are posting good stuff in the social media and all of that are transparent, right? And you are doing that, and that's
Yeah,
like
so
very
well,
good, very good.
transparency is something it has always appealed me, and one of the things, one of my good friends, he and I have been chatting about that the next project that we do will be a fully transparent project. Like when did we start, what we built, if it's earning money, how much, who's getting how much money, how much we're paying for the ads, how much we're paying for the hosting. So we want, so next project, for example, will be a transparent product from our side.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Nice. I think I'm pretty much
Uh,
done. I think we have digressed from the main topic of minimalism and design because I do not have much clarity on that topic. So coming to the question of Mridul, like how can one achieve minimalism so that we can have a better understanding of
yeah.
minimalism? How can one go through like practical, actionable items that you would like to give anyone?
Um,
So that will
yeah,
be
so
helpful.
the first and foremost is read about minimalism over the internet. Go to
Mm,
theminimalists.com. That's from Joshua Baker, I think. And there's one more,
mm,
Becoming Minimalist. And there's one more author called Leo Babuata. He writes on Zen
mm.
habits. So I think minimalism has to
Okay.
do a lot with meditation, being mindful. So this goes
Mm-hmm.
hand in hand, and this is definitely a different Facebook Live topic. It's a long one, but if someone has to start, do check out what people has to say about minimalism. You will get a fair idea what a minimalism in general stands, and is very subjective for each and every one you read about. So Leo Babuata, who's the author of Zen Habits, he has a very different take of minimal. He has 8 kids, as I said, and has a big house, has decent stuff. But he will say that in writing you have to use less words, you have to be clear in writing, and how meditation has helped him be a good writer, be able to start earning passive income, so on and so forth. Yeah, so there is different ideas of minimalism for everyone, but if I won't give you a definition because that's my definition, what I have concluded from reading all these blogs. So, and there's one more lady called Marie Kondo. She has a whole season of called Sparking Joy. So her idea of minimalism, for example, is if there's one stuff which is not giving you joy when you hold it in your hands, you should get rid of it. So, so start there. Second is auditing all your stuff that you have around you, which belongs to you,
Yeah.
not like your roommates, but what belongs to you. Yeah, start auditing. Just ask one question: have you used it in the last 6 months? Are you going to use it for the after in the next 6 months? If the answer is no, then you should probably get rid of it. And to get rid of it, there are 3 ways that I follow usually. One is just donate it if it's not very costly and you don't care. Second is sell it off, and the third was, I forgot, maybe dump it. Yeah, dump it. So I've done all these three depending on what the item was, and I mostly keep a box, storage box, where I just dump everything I find which I'm not using. So that box for now, for example, has one earphone box, one jacket which I haven't worn in a long time, couple of electronic peripherals like USB cables, and also a couple of gifts that I get. I might not be using them, so I'll just keep them there. So maybe I'll just donate them. So start there. It's not
Okay.
really
Okay.
hard. Just read about it. If you're really curious, just read about it. You'll form your own opinion. But start with identifying objects that you're not using and spending a lot. So minimalism also, I'll just have to add, minimalism does not mean you have to spend less. I spend quite lavishly here. I have a TV, I have a PS4. I buy the things that I think will give me joy, will be fun. I don't cut my cost while I'm traveling. Yeah, I spend quite decently. But yeah, so minimalism doesn't mean you have to live really poorly, but it again just means that be very mindful of all the things around you. Yep.
Yeah. So one resource that I would like to add on
Yeah,
this, because while I was
yeah,
researching on this minimalism
yeah.
and all of this, there's this YouTube channel called Met Diavella.
Mm,
So
I know.
this
Yeah,
guy posts good stuff. Yeah, this guy posts good stuff around minimalism and
yeah.
all of that. So I think that might be helpful. And to answer this question, can you please share the books or blogs where you read about minimalism? So can you please share something on that? Like apart from these people that you
I
already mentioned.
think these are the top ones that I would mention, and there would be fragments of people writing about minimalism here and there all over the internet. So there's plenty of stuff on the internet to read over. If you have Netflix, just watch the Spark Joy documentary on Marie Kondo. That's also good. And to add to that, I think start looking into being mindful. There is a book called 10% Happier by Dan Harris, which is really good. It talks about how a guy, so Dan Harris was a New York Times, so I think very popular media reporter. He was an anchor there, and he was living a very fast-paced life, and it's his story of how he got to learn about meditation, minimalism, being mindful, got to a retreat, and how it changed him. So he did not leave his job, he did not leave his salary, he did not live his luxurious life, but he is now very happy with all the stuff he already had, because the essence of the whole story is he got to know what are the things that causes him stress. So for example, extra stuff, what your boss might be thinking of you leaving at 4 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., so on and so forth. So that's a good book. Yeah.
Yeah. Think I'm pretty much done with whatever questions I do have. So if ever anyone, like 8 people watching, if ever anyone
Uh,
of you have any questions, you can shoot it down. Uh, and yeah, this is Sankalp, this one thing that I wanted
yeah.
to say. This is a complete fanboy
Okay.
moment for me
Okay.
to talk to you because I already
Yeah,
told
yeah,
you about
yeah,
that, right? Because
yeah,
I've been following your blogs. I've read all of your
yeah.
blogs since 2015
Oh
and
my
all of
God.
that.
I even haven't
So
checked my archives. Never, ever. So, yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, so
Yeah,
after going through all of those, I started exploring this minimalism concept, and I really
yeah,
liked it, and I would like to pursue it further.
yeah.
So thank you very
Yeah,
much for
thank you for
that,
inviting me here.
and
Yeah,
thank you very much.
yeah,
So I think we'll surely meet
yeah,
in
yeah.
person and discuss more on this further.
We will. Definitely. Yeah,
Thank you very much, guys, and all of the resources that he has pointed out in this thing. I'll just document it somewhere and just share it across, and all his blogs, links, and all of that
yeah.
also. So you can check them out. They're pretty awesome, and you'll get to learn. I hope you got to learn uh, much about minimalism and design. And I think we digressed a lot around the
Yeah.
topic, but anyway, it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, maybe some other time we can discuss more about minimalism and being mindful. But it's a very off topic, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people will be really interested in, because there's a taboo behind being able to meditate every day and what it really entails. So, yeah,
Yeah, Harshit, surely will be documenting it. Yeah, you'll get a document of whatever the topics and whatever things we talked about. Yeah. Thank you very
yeah.
much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sankalp.
Shubham. Thanks for calling me out here. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy, guys.
Have a good night.